Hey, Tony Gaskins here. Now, forgive me on this because I'm placing an order on Uber Eats for some Christmas stuff to be delivered to a family that we supporting through the nonprofit. So when they can't find certain stuff, they write me and I have to answer in the chat on there to help them find a replacement. So y'all forgive me if I have to pay attention to that a little bit. But I wanted to get back on this topic because a lot of people still asking me about it and asking for more explanation on it. And this is what I want you to understand. Like when I'm on a coaching call, I have my clients, they will send me 3 pictures of themselves, or they'll send me a picture of a person that they are married to or dating or whatever, and then I will give them a read of themselves and a read of them, that person. Like basically, what does this look say to me as an outsider looking in? And what I'll have you to understand is how that was developed. The way that was developed, I grew up very quiet, very shy. So I would just observe everything and everybody. And in that, I was able to learn and see how the world views us. And with that, okay. And so with that, it became one of those situations where, based on the constructs, I want you to go back through and I want you to look at the constructs of the world. And here's something that a lot of people don't admit to. And a lot of people know it and they'll say it and they'll speak on it, but they don't really believe it. And they actually will. You ever seen somebody who they look decent to you, or they look pretty, or they look handsome, but they talk about how pretty they are, or they talk about how many people they can get, or they talk about, this and that, and they kind of say it with a sense of pride, a sense of arrogance, like they just really happy about it. And that's typically when we in a place to where we don't really believe it. Like we can't believe we look good or something like that. When you really, really are there and you really experience it and you meet those people, they don't really talk much about it. They don't really think about it. They don't even really want to process it or brag about it or nothing like that, because it's their norm. Like they experienced it. It's their norm. It's nothing. It's not news. And you have to look at yourself, and you got to get very real with yourself when you start to evaluate how the world views you. And you got to be able to really ask yourself, do I look like the star, the lead actress, the love or actor? Do I look like the love interest? Do I have something that's unique about me, like the actors or the actress that's out there, like the music artist? And what is similar? What is different? And then you have to look at everything that you are. So I'm going to take you through this process, okay? And I want you to think about this and relate this to yourself. So, and I use myself as an example just for the sake of my thoughts and for the sake of me staying on track and focus, because y'all know I don't use note cards and all of that. So I am a male. So what is said about men? Understand the stereotype about men. Understand the thoughts about men. So men unrightfully privileged, insecure, controlling, domineering, take what they want, take what they don't want. So think about that. Y'all forgive my wife texted me, and 1 second, I'll be right back. And so I want you to think about that. And so I'm a male. So all of those things come with being a man. That's pretty much the general consensus. It's not a lot outside of that. Like it's not too much people gonna say. And y'all got to send some money to one of the boys in the program. Help them out. Trying to. Help them get some food. Okay, next on black. So what is it about black people? On the good side, black is seen as strong, tough, smart, creative, unique, rare, God's original. On the bad side, black is seen as less than, lazy, dumb, entitled, greedy, selfish, whatever. Like what do the Arabs think about blacks? What do the whites think about blacks? What do the Asians think about blacks? What do the Hispanics think about blacks? Think about all of that right there. Okay. 5'10". That is, average height of a man is 5'9". So average height could be slightly above average if wherever you at, more men skew towards 5'6" to 5'8". So doable, but not the most desirable, but doable. When I was younger, had an athletic build, kind of lean, athletic build. So desirable. Pretty much across the board. So that would be desired from women. By men, respected. Some men could be feared. Some women, it would be seen as like something different. If like for the women, it would be something different if a woman want a big guy, like a heavyset guy. That's different. So that's an exception, to the rule, so to speak, what she looking for. I have hazel eyes. So for some people, a lighter color eyes represent sweet, soft. Sweet meaning gay. Sweet, soft, like weak, pushover. Pretty boy. Stuff like that. I am from the South, so I'm country. For some people, country is dumb, less than, ignorant, gullible. So see, you have to think about the stereotypes. There are exceptions to the rule, But when you think about the stereotypes and you go through those different things, then that's when you start to see how people look at you. Now, if I get y'all forgive me, the stuff got dropped off to the family house. One second, I'm gonna see if I can find them a tree. So I want you to think about that. And as you place that, now this right here, it affects us a lot of times because like you can go into a place and if you black, you feel like I'm gonna be discriminated against. I'm not gonna get a fair shake. I'm gonna get a bad deal. They're gonna try to take advantage of me. And for a lot of people in a lot of places, that is true. Whereas someone who is not black, they'll be like, you're delusional. Like you're a victim. Like no one's treating you differently. Like you get the same treatment that I get. And it's certain people of other races who feel like there's no way that could be true. And when I was in England, I would be in the Uber and I'll be taking the Uber and the guy started talking to me and he'd be a Muslim. And he would tell me that he can't visit America because his visa doesn't get approved because he's Muslim. And I heard several Uber drivers tell me that, and they were kind of mad about it. They were a little ticked off about it. And that really made me think of that, like, man, slavery was bad and all that, but I live in the country that these guys want to move to. And because of their name, they can't even get approved for a visa to come visit Disney World. But I paid for a white family to come visit Disney World. And that's because they helped my son in England with soccer. So I treated them to a trip to Disney. And I think it cost like $10,000. So yes, it was expensive, but it was worth it. I'd do anything for my kids. And they showed my son a lot of love and did what they didn't have to do. As far as allowing him to train with clubs over there and stuff like that and one-on-one training. And so they came to Disney and had no issue. They're not citizens or none of that. Their visa had no issue. So when you look at how the world sees you, that's how you do it. You do it based on the world's norm. Now, that doesn't mean you have to shrink or you have to fit inside of that norm. But that is just how the world works. So you got to realize and understand that. So let me have her. Let me send this to her so she knows it's coming. And so you got to think about that. So it's like, I just talked to a client who has freckles. Freckles is not common. Although we've seen freckles, it wouldn't be considered the norm. So someone who has freckles, they will be seen as unique. Unique, peculiar, different, and it could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. If it's certain freckles in a certain amount in certain space, a person in certain areas of their face, person may say, wow, it looks really cool. Like there's women, and I've seen my wife and other women, they'll put on freckles. They'll get themselves a little freckles. So it's like, it's how it could be seen. Now, do they do their entire face with a lot of them? No, they don't. But they'll do like just a few little dots through there. And that's the thing. So when you look at height, the average height of a woman in America is 5'4". Now, if you live in a certain tribe in Africa, the average height for those women might be 5'9" to 5'11". So if the average height is 5'4" and a woman is 6 foot tall, if everybody is accustomed to a woman being shorter, now this tall woman could be seen as different, could be seen as unattractive, could be seen as less than, could be seen as undesirable. Or she could be, let's say she's taller, but she has all of the features from the beauty constructs of America. If she has all those features, it offsets her height. It balances out her height. But let's say she is 6 foot tall and she doesn't have the features. Now she's pretty much treated like either Casper the Ghost, like invisible, or she treated like the plague. Think about the same thing for a man. If the average height of a man is 5'9", a man who is 5'4" is gonna be seen differently. And let's say he's 5'4" and he doesn't have the conventional features of the world. So I remember, let me give you an example. I remember coaching a client, non-black, and she sent me a picture of the guy. And I said to her, I say, he struggles with porn. And she say, how do you know that? By looking at him. And it was a guess. But let me tell you how I assume that. I assume that because he was like Hispanic looking, and he had like decent height, looked like he could have been 6 foot, but he wasn't built lean or muscular or athletic. He was built like relaxed, like no abs, no muscles, no none of that. So I'm like, okay, he has tall genes, but he doesn't have athletic genes. Women really love athletic men. You don't have to be athletic to get attention from women, but then also his features are very just like underwhelming. He don't have the Danish deception features like how she was describing him. Just kind of, you almost won't really see him. Like there's nothing unique or special about his features. Like not like prominent jawbone, cheekbones or jawline or nothing like that. So so here he has an underwhelming physique, underwhelming facial features. And he's standing kind of like, he's not standing like a man. Like he's not standing shoulders back, chest out at that camera. He's standing kind of like he's asking for permission. So what I could see in his stance was socially awkward, insecure, introverted. So what does that tell you? If you got all of those things coming together, you're not going to be confident approaching women. You're not going to be confident just sitting down, just chopping it up with women. So you're not going to have a lot of interaction with women. So you're going to be left to yourself. And then being left to yourself, you're going to be in your head And you're going to be on the computer, and on that computer, you're going to learn about stuff. And so you're going to learn about stuff, and you seeing these different things, and you're going to learn about nasty movies. And then when you learn about those nasty movies, then you're going to see forgive me, talking to the family. You learn about those nasty movies, then you're going to see all this free time. And you're going to see all these beautiful women in the world that don't see you and they don't talk to you. But if you go on your phone, you go on your computer, you not only get to see them and talk to them, you can interact with them by yourself with you some lotion or whatever and your hand, and you can really go to town with these women that never see you, that never notice you, never acknowledge you. You really could go to town. And so now you see that, and it's like, oh. And then when you do that and you get that release and you enjoy that release, and now every day you got all this free time, you alone. So before you know it, you're going to develop a habit of going to those digital or virtual women who don't see you in real life, and you spending time with them. And so I assumed that by looking at his picture, and she was like, he does struggle with that. But I don't understand how you can tell that by looking at a picture. But see, that's when you take and you put this stuff. And so we all know it to a degree. But you got to really be a student of it, and you got to get out your own way. So you see, if I look at this camera head on, right, I have a little flick on my ears. So my wife, she always pick on the flick. Pick the flick. She pick on the flick, she make fun of it. Who have a little pick to their ears, a little flick to their ears in the media? Santa's elves. So I look like a Blight Santa elf. But guess what? Because I have the flick of my ear, and I'm above average height by 1 inch, but I'm a black man with a medium skin tone, but I have hazel eyes, but I'm able to grow a full beard and get me some hairspray so it give me a full hairline. The flick balances me out. The flick take it to where I can't get too far beside myself. And I used to have crooked teeth. I had to get braces. So crooked teeth, thin hairline, and a flick, it would be underwhelming. It'll be, he ain't ugly, but he ain't, I ain't just like, ooh, my man. And so you have to get out of your feelings, and you got to really look at that. And so when I hear women describing men, and I'm talking to these women, I understand how they look at a man. Now, I've seen men who look worse than me and hear women describe them as handsome, or he looked good to me, or he's attractive. So then I realize that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, like the quote says, and that looks and all of those things are subjective. So, but there was a thing I heard one time that said, if a person is a 9 on a scale of 1 to 10, if they are 9 on the look scale, then they are a 9 to practically every race. They were saying that if a person is attractive to their race, then they are attractive to other races. And for the most part, we know that to be true. For the most part. Like, I don't think, if we think Beyonce is pretty, I don't think a white man is going to say she's ugly. he might not want her the way a black man want her, but he ain't gonna say she ugly. But it's not a one size fits all, because you see, black men didn't want the Williams sisters, Serena and Venus. They didn't want them because the black men were programmed that darker skin isn't attractive. So the black man was told that women with this skin color aren't attractive. So they let them, even with all their money and fame, no black man could step up to the plate and be man enough to take a Williams sister off the market. They let the Williams sisters slip through they grasp and end up with white men. I'm upset about it. If I was single, I sure would have shot my shot and got in there. Just to keep that money in the blight ray. It's like, man, our per capita, we broke. Like, we need that type of generational wealth. Like, y'all to fumble the bag, dummies. I am hot with single black men. Like, my goodness, the best athletes. And so some people could say, well, maybe they didn't like black men. No, a woman gonna like her own first, unless her own don't appreciate her and don't like her and don't do right by her. She gonna want familiarity first. It's when she not treated right by that, then she got to look outside of that. But I talk to black women every day. Their first option is a black man. That's their first choice. If that don't work, then they start to become open to others. But first and foremost, a black woman want a black man. That's why Serena dealt with Drake and with Common. Tried to get them a chance, and they couldn't do right. And so you have to think about this. So it ain't a one size fits all when it comes to the looks thing. But you have to, and what happens is, it helps you move throughout the world. So if I'm country and I'm seen as less intelligent, dumb, country bumpkin, guess what I have to do? I have to then show wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Because if I don't show my wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, like being able to shoot an hour-long video teaching on complex subjects, without note cards and bullet points and be distracted, take care of several other business items at the same time, then people will be able to keep me in the box of dumb and country and dumb. Poor, dumb, country. So guess what? I became a millionaire using the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding from God, so I can't be called poor. I exhibited the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding from God, so I can't be called dumb. So all I could be called now is country. And then when I sit to the business table and I ask certain questions and I negotiate certain deals, now they can't see me as naive or easy to deceive and manipulate. And it's very funny that when I go to do business, the white people always tell me, Tony, you're different than any other client we work with. The questions you ask and the way you think is different than anybody else. And this one company I dealt with, they end up giving me equity in the company. It's several companies I dealt with, they give me equity in the company after our talks. And after they understand that I understand who I am, and I understand a brand, and I understand brand equity, and I understand value, and I understand a value add. And when I express to them everything that I am and everything that I bring to the table, they realize that I have a deeper understanding than other people who have a brand, because those people operating from insecurity and they just happy to be at the table negotiating. And it's a black brother one time, he said to me, because we both had a meeting with Telepictures, who is owned by Warner Brothers, who Warner Brothers getting bought by Netflix now. And he said, I went into the meeting and was like, what can I do for you all? He said, you went into the meeting like, what can y'all do for me? He said, that's why I went wrong. You went in as talent. He said, I went in as talent of like, I'm y'all to just use. He said, you went in as like a brand, as somebody that you are equal to them. So guess what? They gave him the deal. It was short-lived. One season of a show, and he was done. But they gave him the deal because to the general public, they can't tell the difference between Tony Gaskins and him. So if they could sell cubic zirconia, then why would they pay for a diamond? Why would they pay for a diamond if they could buy cubic zirconia and sell it like a diamond? Now they learned the hard way, and that's why they going out of business and in a weak position now, because they didn't want to invest in diamonds. They wanted to invest in cubic zirconia. And you can't sustain your business investing in cubic zirconia in a diamond market. Because once people find out you selling cubic zirconia, they gonna go to who's selling diamonds, whether it's a lab diamond or a natural diamond. And so, because the diamond tester can't tell the difference between a lab or a natural diamond, but it could tell the difference between cubic zirconia and a lab diamond or a natural diamond. So the cubic zirconia don't pass the test. It don't pass the diamond test. It don't pass the diamond test, but the lab diamond passed the diamond test. So see, here's the thing, what you have to realize. You have to learn how the world views you, so you know what tools in your belt you have to use. Because if you go in oblivious to how you are viewed, that's where the term read the room comes from. Because some people don't read the room. And so they're oblivious to how they are viewed. And because they didn't read the room, they don't know how they view. They can't see how they view. So they go in and they like, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes you got to be socially aware. So it's kind of like this right here. Whenever you ever go somewhere and you see black people and they so loud. It's a group of black women and they in the establishment and they so loud. Now this be white women too. But you got to remember, white and black is viewed different in America. So you have to understand that if you view it a certain way and you go into a certain environment, you got to move strategically. You got to move differently. Because if you in the environment and you so extremely loud and people already has stereotyped you as loud, obnoxious, obscene, indecent, uneducated, unworthy, and all of this, and you go in and you disrupt the environment and the ambiance because you're being loud in a place that is supposed to be intimate and romantic, now you just played into the stereotype and everybody gets to looking, Phew, there goes the neighborhood. There we go. And the same thing of like just being uneducated, untrained, unlearned. And so I see this sometimes with my program and working with different families to where I could put somebody who hasn't gone anywhere or seen nothing or been taught, I could put them on an airplane and they talking on the phone while the plane is riding down the jetway to take off. And they never heard them say, turn off your phones, because they've been on the phone the whole time, because they talking to their family who never went nowhere and never seen nothing. So they so happy to be talking to them to let them know I'm going somewhere and I'm doing something. I'm finna have an experience. Yeah, what's going on? And yeah. And they'll just be having a normal conversation, and they gossiping about nothing. So it's not even a conversation that have to be had. But the person called them because they want to stay close, like a crab in the barrel, because they're like, hey, you getting ready to get on the plane for the first time in your life, and you're getting to do something that I've never done. So you must be special, and you must be getting ready to go somewhere. So let me call you and talk to you about absolutely nothing, to pretend that I want to talk to you about something so I can stay close to you, so that if you're about to climb out the bucket, I could latch on to you and I could climb out the bucket with you. And so the person who getting the opportunity, they feel special that everybody want to talk to them, and they don't realize why the people want to talk to them about nothing at this time and place for no reason absolutely at all. So they don't understand that. And they will be on the phone, and then everybody who has traveled and have gone somewhere are like, oh, what's going on? You're not supposed to be on the phone. But they also look at black people as barbarians, as fighters, as sensitive. So nobody wants to tell him or her, you're not supposed to be on the phone. Guess what? I don't want to tell him or her, you're not supposed to be on the phone, because now at this point it's a social experiment and I'm learning. So I don't want to say nothing. So I'm looking at it like, ooh, okay. And so this is what you have to do. And this is what we call social awareness. Now I'm 2 minutes late for my coaching call. Y'all forgive me. This was going to be an hour-long video, but that's just let you know we're going to keep this here going. We'll keep teaching on this here subject and hitting the different angles of it. Not for you to shrink or anything like that, not for you to play a role, but for you to be socially aware, so that you are aware and you understanding of perception. Because what is perception? Perception doesn't mean it's your reality, but perception is the perceiver's reality. So once you understand that, that helps you move a little differently. And then you'll be able to disarm people, because you know what they're thinking and how they're looking at you. And that'll help you a lot better. God bless you. All the important links in the description. Join us, Solarpreneur Mastermind, all access membership. Hop on in. Love to work with you. And I think we got 13 main tickets left for the live event. God bless you. Hey, Tony Gaskins here. How are you? Awesome, awesome. Is it still a good time for you? Okay, great, great. So let me see here. Now, this is your first session with me? Okay, awesome.